Have you ever been deeply hurt by someone's words or actions? Do you find yourself thinking about it over and over again, unable to move on? Why do some people hurt us even when we have done nothing wrong to them? These questions trouble many of us, making it hard to focus on our own happiness. Imagine this. You helped a friend in their tough times, but when you needed them, they ignored you. The pain of betrayal keeps repeating in your mind. You ask yourself, why did they do this to me? I was always there for them. This kind of hurt stays with us, sometimes for days, months, or even years. But what if there was a way to free yourself from this suffering? Before we go deeper into this topic, welcome to Wisdom Woven. This channel is dedicated to bringing peace and clarity into your life through powerful Buddhist teachings. There are so many views on this channel, but only 0.2% subscribe. So please like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. And most importantly, drop down your thoughts in the comments. We would love to hear your experiences. Now, let's begin. In life, pain is unavoidable, but suffering is a choice. Buddhism teaches that our reaction to pain is what truly decides our suffering. When someone hurts us, we naturally feel anger, sadness, or even revenge. But holding on to these emotions only increases our pain. It's like holding a burning coal, expecting the other person to get burned. The Buddha taught that everything in life is temporary, including our emotions. The moment we realize this, we stop giving power to those who hurt us. Why should someone else's actions decide our peace? Why should we give them control over our happiness? The more we hold on to pain, the stronger it grows. Many people believe that forgetting and forgiving are the only ways to heal, but Buddhism shows a deeper way: understanding. Understanding why people hurt others can change the way we see pain. Most people who hurt us are suffering themselves. They project their own pain onto others, sometimes without even realizing it. But this doesn't mean we must accept their behavior or let them continue hurting us. Instead, we can learn how to protect our peace while freeing ourselves from unnecessary suffering. Instead of wasting energy on negative emotions, Buddhism teaches us to turn that energy inward, to grow, to find wisdom, and to rise above the situation. This journey is not about ignoring your pain, but about transforming it into strength and clarity. The first step is to accept that pain is part of life. Once we do that, we stop resisting it, and when we stop resisting, we stop suffering. If someone has hurt you, don't let them live in your mind rent-free. Their actions were their choice, but your peace is your choice. The moment you shift your focus from pain to self-growth, you start taking back your power. In the next part, we will go deeper into why people hurt others and how understanding this truth can set you free. Stay with us on this journey to true inner peace. Understanding suffering, why people hurt others. When someone hurts us, it feels like a deep wound in our heart. We ask ourselves, why did they do this to me? What did I do wrong? It feels like the world is unfair. But what if we understood the reason behind why people hurt others? What if we could see their actions not as a reflection of our worth, but as a reflection of their inner struggles? Would that change the way we feel about the pain they caused? The truth is, no one wakes up in the morning with the goal of hurting others. Most of the time, people hurt us because they are hurt themselves. We often forget that others have their own struggles, their own pain, and their own past that shapes their actions. But what does this mean for us? Should we just accept everything others do to us? Should we stay quiet, always turning the other cheek? Absolutely not. Understanding doesn't mean accepting bad behavior. Buddhism teaches us that everything in life is connected, and everything is temporary. When we understand that, we can begin to see that the pain others cause us is also temporary. It doesn't define us. It doesn't control us. But when we focus on their actions and let them fill our minds with anger or hurt, that's when the suffering deepens. Why let someone else's actions take control over your peace? Why let someone who doesn't understand their own pain have power over yours? People who hurt others are often stuck in a cycle of suffering. They may be dealing with their own fears, insecurities, or past traumas. Their pain blinds them to the impact they have on others. They react out of fear or frustration, not out of a place of love or understanding. When we hurt someone, it's not because we want to. It's often because we are not at peace within ourselves. It's a projection of our own inner turmoil. Imagine you are holding a cup of tea, and someone bumps into you. What happens? The tea spills. Now, why did the tea spill? It spilled because there was tea in the cup. If there had been water in the cup, water would have spilled. In the same way, when someone hurts us, it's because they are carrying their own emotional tea inside them. When something bumps into them, whether it's a comment, a situation, or a misunderstanding, it spills out. And sometimes, it spills out onto us. This doesn't make it right. It doesn't mean we should allow people to keep hurting us. But it does help us understand that their actions are more about them than about us. When we take this step back, we realize that the harm they cause doesn't have to stick to us. It doesn't have to become part of our story. We have the choice to let go of the hurt and not let it define who we are. The Buddha said, "Hurt people hurt people." This simple truth is the key to understanding why others harm us. People who are at peace with themselves don't lash out at others. They don't seek to hurt or harm. They are not controlled by their pain. But those who are still caught in their own suffering may hurt others without even realizing it. Their anger, their frustration, their fear. All of this can manifest in ways that hurt others. What if we didn't take it personally? What if we realized that their actions are more about their inner state than about us? If someone calls us names or judges us, it's a reflection of how they see the world, not how the world truly is. When we react with anger or hurt, we allow their perception of reality to shape ours. But when we choose not to react, when we choose to see beyond their words, we take away their power. The key to healing is to understand that we cannot control others, but we can control our reaction to them. Buddhism teaches us to cultivate mindfulness, to be aware of our thoughts and emotions before reacting. When we are mindful, we can step back and observe what is happening within us. We can notice our anger, our hurt, and our desire for revenge. And in that moment, we can choose to let it go. We can choose to not let someone else's actions decide our emotional state. But this doesn't mean we should suppress our emotions. Buddhism doesn't ask us to ignore our feelings or pretend everything is okay. Instead, it asks us to understand our feelings, acknowledge them, and then let them go. When we hold on to anger or hurt, it becomes like a poison inside us, slowly eating away at our peace. But when we let it go, we free ourselves from its grip. Understanding why people hurt us doesn't mean we are weak. It doesn't mean we are excusing their actions. It simply means we are choosing to see beyond the surface and understand the deeper reasons for their behavior. This understanding brings us peace. It frees us from the need for revenge or resentment. It allows us to move forward without carrying the burden of anger or hurt. One powerful way to shift our perspective is through the practice of compassion. Compassion doesn't mean feeling sorry for others or allowing them to hurt us again. It means understanding that everyone is struggling in their own way. Just like us, they are facing their own fears, their own challenges, and their own pain. And just like us, they are searching for happiness and peace. When we practice compassion, we begin to see others not as enemies, but as fellow travelers on the road of life. We understand that they, too, are doing the best they can with the tools they have. They may not know how to deal with their pain, and in their confusion, they hurt others. But just as we deserve compassion, so do they. This doesn't mean we let them hurt us, but it means we don't carry anger toward them. We don't wish harm upon them. Instead, we send them compassion, understanding that their actions come from a place of suffering. This shift in perspective is not always easy. When someone hurts us, our instinct is to fight back, to defend ourselves, to demand justice. But Buddhism teaches us that the real path to healing is not through retaliation, but through understanding. Understanding allows us to break free from the cycle of anger and resentment. It allows us to find peace within ourselves, regardless of what others do to us. So, the next time someone hurts you, take a moment to pause and reflect. Instead of reacting with anger or pain, ask yourself, why are they behaving this way? What pain are they carrying? This shift in perspective doesn't mean you accept their behavior, but it allows you to see the situation with clarity. And when you see the situation clearly, you can choose how to respond. You can choose peace over anger. You can choose compassion over resentment. And in that choice, you find your own freedom. In the next part, we will explore how mindfulness can help us break free from the cycle of suffering. By being mindful of our thoughts and emotions, we can learn to respond with wisdom instead of reacting out of pain. Stay with us as we continue this journey toward inner peace. The art of non-attachment, letting go of pain. Do you ever find yourself clinging to memories of past hurts? That feeling when you just can't seem to let go, no matter how hard you try. What if I told you that holding on to this pain is like carrying a heavy stone in your heart? It wears you down, weighs you down, and stops you from moving forward. But there is a way to let go. Yes, you can free yourself from the chains of hurt, and it doesn't require anything more than a shift in your thinking. In Buddhism, we learn about non-attachment. At first, this idea might sound a bit strange. We live in a world where attachment is natural. We are attached to our loved ones, our belongings, even our memories. But when we cling too strongly to these attachments, they begin to control us. They become like the stone in our heart, keeping us stuck in the past and making us fearful of the future. So, what does non-attachment really mean? It's not about not caring or not loving. It's about being able to love without needing to hold on so tightly. It's about understanding that everything, including the people we love, is impermanent. Nothing stays the same forever. Not our feelings, not our relationships, not even the circumstances of our lives. The moment we accept this truth, we start to free ourselves from unnecessary suffering. When someone hurts you, the pain often comes from the attachment to an expectation of how you thought they would treat you, or how you hoped they would be. But when we hold on to these expectations too tightly, we set ourselves up for disappointment. In the end, it is not the person who hurt us that causes our suffering, but our attachment to the idea of how they should have acted. This is where Buddhism offers a powerful teaching. Everything is temporary. Our relationships, our pain, our joy. All of it is in a constant state of change. When we accept that nothing is permanent, we stop holding on to things that hurt us. This doesn't mean we stop caring or stop trying to improve our relationships. It means we learn to love without being afraid of loss. When we stop fearing loss, we stop suffering when it comes. Imagine this. You're holding a cup of tea, and suddenly it slips from your hands and shatters on the floor. The natural reaction is frustration, right? But what if, instead of being angry about the broken cup, you simply let go and accepted that it broke? The cup was never yours to keep forever, and in the same way, our relationships and experiences are not things we can hold on to forever. We can appreciate them while they last, but we must also learn to let go when the time comes. But how does this relate to hurt? Well, when someone causes us pain, it's like a cup being shattered. We didn't ask for it, but the pain is real. The key to healing is to accept that the pain is temporary and that it, too, shall pass. Instead of holding on to the anger, the resentment, or the sadness, we allow ourselves to feel the pain and then gently let it go. This is not an easy process. It requires patience, self-compassion, and practice. But it's one of the most freeing things you can do. In Buddhism, there's a saying, "This too shall pass." When we remember that pain is temporary, we stop clinging to it. The more we hold on to our pain, the more it becomes part of us. But if we let go, the pain has no place to stay. It can't grow or control us. This doesn't mean we forget about the hurt or pretend it didn't happen. It means we stop letting the past define us. We stop letting the actions of others determine how we feel. We become the masters of our emotions instead of being at their mercy. When we let go of the attachment to our pain, we create space for peace, joy, and healing to enter. Let's look at a simple example. Think of a tree. A tree sheds its leaves every autumn, and in spring, new leaves grow. The tree doesn't cling to the old leaves. It lets them fall naturally, knowing that new growth will come. In the same way, we need to let go of old hurts to make room for new experiences, new relationships, and new ways of thinking. We must stop carrying the weight of past wounds and open ourselves to the possibility of healing. It's important to remember that letting go doesn't mean we become indifferent. It means we are choosing to let go of the negative attachments that tie us to pain. By practicing non-attachment, we choose to be free from the influence of others' actions. We stop letting the words or actions of others control our emotions. Instead of reacting from a place of hurt, we start responding with wisdom, understanding, and compassion. When someone hurts you, you have two choices. You can hold on to the pain, let it fester and grow, or you can let go. Letting go might not happen instantly, But every time you choose to release the hurt, you step closer to peace. Non-attachment is about learning to detach your happiness from external factors. If your happiness depends on how others treat you, you will always be at the mercy of others. But if you learn to find happiness from within, you will be like a tree, rooted firmly in your own peace, regardless of the storms around you. This is the practice of mindful detachment. You acknowledge the pain, feel it fully, and then let it go. You don't resist it or suppress it. You allow it to come and go like waves in the ocean. The more you practice this, the easier it becomes. You start to understand that you are not your pain, just as you are not your thoughts or your emotions. You are something much deeper, something constant, peaceful, and free. In the next part, we will explore how to transform your pain into wisdom. How can you turn the hurt into a source of strength instead of weakness? Stay with us on this path of healing, and we'll show you how to rise above pain and find true peace. Karma and forgiveness, the cycle of cause and effect. Imagine you've planted a seed in your garden. You water it, nurture it, and soon, it starts to grow into a beautiful plant. But if you neglect it, if you don't take care of it, the plant withers and dies. Now, think of this as the seed of your actions, the good and the bad you do each day. Every action you take, every word you speak, is like planting a seed. What grows from these seeds depends on how you nurture them. This is the essence of karma, the law of cause and effect. Karma isn't just some abstract concept. It's not about someone punishing you for your bad actions or rewarding you for your good ones. Karma is much simpler than that. It is the natural law of cause and effect, and it operates in every moment of our lives. The actions we take today, whether they are kind or cruel, plant the seeds for our future. These seeds grow into the experiences we face, shaping our reality. Now, you might be wondering, what does karma have to do with forgiveness? It has everything to do with it. You see, when someone hurts us, it's often easy to hold on to anger, bitterness, and resentment. We think to ourselves, why should I forgive them? They hurt me. And that's completely normal. But here's the truth. Holding on to anger doesn't hurt the other person. It only hurts you. It's like holding a burning coal, hoping the other person will feel the heat. In Buddhism, we learn that forgiveness is not for the other person, it's for your own peace. When you forgive someone, you are not saying that their actions were right or acceptable. You are simply releasing the grip that their hurt has on you. You are choosing to let go of the negative emotions that tie you to their actions. This frees you. It allows you to heal and move forward. Let's dive deeper. The Buddha taught us that everything we experience is a result of our past actions. This is karma at work. But karma is not something set in stone. It's a process that can be changed at any moment. The moment you choose to act with love, with kindness, or with forgiveness, you are planting a new seed for the future. Even if someone has hurt you deeply, your decision to forgive them, to let go of your anger, will change the course of your future. Think about it. How much time do you waste holding on to anger, replaying the hurt over and over in your mind? Does it change anything? Does it fix the situation? The answer is no. All it does is continue to keep you trapped in the past, in a moment that's already gone. And in doing so, you are also planting the seeds of more suffering for yourself. But here's the beautiful thing about karma. You have the power to change it. By choosing to forgive, you are making a conscious decision to change the seeds you are planting. Instead of planting the seeds of anger, you are planting seeds of peace, compassion, and healing. And with every act of forgiveness, you not only change your own karma, but you also create positive karma for the other person. Forgiveness doesn't mean you have to forget what happened. It doesn't mean you have to trust the person again. It simply means you are choosing to let go of the negative energy that is holding you back. The Buddhist teachings encourage us to look at the world with compassion, to see that every person is struggling in some way, even if they don't show it. When someone hurts you, it often comes from their own pain, their own suffering. Now, this doesn't mean you should allow people to keep hurting you. Forgiveness does not mean tolerating abuse or neglect. It means that you forgive them for your own sake, to free yourself from the chains of resentment and anger. It's about reclaiming your power. When you forgive, you are no longer letting their actions define your emotions. You are in control again. Think of it like this. If you hold on to a grudge, you are carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. Every step you take, every thought you have, is weighed down by that grudge. But the moment you forgive, it's like putting down a heavy burden. You feel lighter, freer, and more at peace with yourself. This is the power of forgiveness. Forgiveness also has a ripple effect. When you forgive others, you open up space for healing in your own life. And when others see your ability to forgive, it can inspire them to do the same. It's like a chain reaction of kindness and compassion. By forgiving, you are not just helping yourself, you are helping the world around you. Buddhism teaches us that karma is not just about the big things we do. It's also about the small, everyday actions, the words we speak, the thoughts we have, and how we treat others. When we hold on to grudges and refuse to forgive, we are only hurting ourselves. But when we choose forgiveness, we are planting seeds of compassion and healing, both for ourselves and for others. So, how do you start? Start by becoming aware of your own feelings. When someone hurts you, take a moment to feel your emotions. It's okay to feel angry or upset, but then, ask yourself, do I want to carry this anger forever? Is holding on to this hurt really helping me? The answer is no. Letting go of that anger may not be easy, but it's the path to freedom. It's the path to peace. Remember, karma is not something to fear. It is simply the natural law of cause and effect. What you put out into the world, you get back. And when you forgive, you are creating the conditions for a future filled with peace and happiness. In the end, forgiveness is not about excusing someone's bad behavior. It's about understanding that we all make mistakes, and we all deserve a chance to heal. Forgiveness is the key to breaking the cycle of suffering, both for yourself and for others. It's the ultimate act of compassion. So, take a deep breath and ask yourself, am I ready to forgive? Mindfulness and emotional mastery. Have you ever been overwhelmed by your emotions? So much that it feels like they control you instead of the other way around? The more we try to avoid them, the stronger they become. But what if you could learn to master them? What if you could stop being a victim of your emotions and instead become their master? Buddhism teaches that mindfulness is the key to emotional mastery. Imagine you're walking through a busy street. There's noise, people are rushing around, and you can feel your emotions rising. Stress, anxiety, maybe even anger. You might feel like the world is pushing against you. And the harder you try to control your emotions, the more they spiral out of control. This is how most of us live, reacting automatically without thinking. But there is a better way. Buddhism teaches us that mindfulness is the practice of being fully present in each moment, without judgment. When you're mindful, you can observe your thoughts and emotions without letting them dictate your actions. Instead of reacting impulsively, you take a pause, breathe deeply, and become aware of what's happening inside you. This simple practice can transform your emotional experience. Think about it. Have you ever snapped at someone, only to regret it later? When we're not mindful, we act out of habit, reacting without thinking. We let anger, frustration, or hurt control us. But with mindfulness, you can recognize these emotions as they arise and make a conscious choice about how to respond. You stop being a slave to your feelings. Instead, you become the master of your emotions. One powerful technique that mindfulness teaches is observing your thoughts and feelings as if they were clouds passing by. When you sit down in silence and close your eyes, you may start to feel tension or discomfort. Instead of pushing those feelings away or trying to fix them, mindfulness invites you to simply notice them. Recognize that they are temporary, like clouds that come and go. The moment you observe these emotions without judgment, they lose their grip on you. Imagine you're sitting in a peaceful garden. You feel a slight breeze, hear the rustling of leaves, and the sun shines on your face. You notice everything around you, but you don't let it overwhelm you. Now, imagine that your emotions are like the wind, sometimes gentle, sometimes strong. Mindfulness teaches us to notice the wind, but not to become the wind. We are simply the observer. You can practice mindfulness anywhere. Whether you're walking, eating, or even talking to someone, mindfulness allows you to remain aware and present in the moment. Instead of getting lost in your thoughts, you observe them. You might feel irritation rise when someone interrupts you. Instead of reacting immediately, you pause and breathe. You notice the irritation and accept it without judgment. This is the beginning of emotional mastery. Emotions like anger, sadness, or fear are not bad emotions. They are natural, human responses to life's challenges. But when we don't recognize them, they control us. When we're mindful, we learn to see emotions for what they truly are, temporary experiences that don't define us. By practicing mindfulness, you stop reacting impulsively. Instead of letting emotions rule you, you learn to respond in a way that aligns with your higher self. Buddhism teaches us to cultivate right mindfulness. This means being aware not just of our thoughts and feelings, but of the world around us. It's about being fully present, appreciating the small moments, and recognizing the beauty in each breath. When you live with right mindfulness, you stop being consumed by your past or future. You start living in the here and now, fully aware of each moment. This is where true peace lies. Take a moment to reflect. Can you remember the last time you felt overwhelmed by emotion? Maybe it was anger at a colleague, frustration with a loved one, or sadness from a past event. Did you react immediately, or did you pause and breathe? The more we practice mindfulness, the easier it becomes to stop before we act impulsively. The more we pause, the more space we create between feeling and reaction. And in that space, we find freedom. Buddhist teachings about mindfulness are not about suppressing or ignoring emotions. It's not about pretending you don't feel anger or pain. It's about recognizing that your emotions are not permanent. They come and they go, just like waves in the ocean. The moment you stop identifying with your emotions, you free yourself from their hold. When we're mindful, we can respond to difficult situations with wisdom, not just instinct. Instead of reacting with anger, we might respond with compassion. Instead of closing ourselves off, we might open our hearts. Mindfulness allows us to choose how we engage with the world, instead of being driven by our habitual reactions. Mindfulness also teaches us the importance of accepting our emotions. We often try to avoid discomfort. We don't want to feel pain, sadness, or fear. But Buddhism teaches that by avoiding our emotions, we only prolong our suffering. When we embrace our emotions with mindfulness, we allow ourselves to experience them fully, without resistance. This leads to deeper healing. Let's consider a simple example. You're stuck in traffic, and you start to feel frustration building inside. Instead of allowing that frustration to grow and ruin your day, take a deep breath. Focus on your breath, feel the tension in your body, and acknowledge your frustration. By accepting the emotion, you stop it from controlling you. You are no longer a prisoner of your frustration. Mindfulness also helps us develop emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize, understand, and manage our emotions. When we're mindful, we become more aware of how our emotions affect our behavior. We stop blaming others for our feelings and start taking responsibility for our responses. This empowers us to live with greater emotional freedom. In the Buddhist tradition, mindfulness is not a one-time practice but a way of life. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes. It's like strengthening a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it gets. Over time, mindfulness becomes a tool you can use in every situation. It helps you navigate difficult emotions and situations with grace and wisdom. One powerful way to practice mindfulness is through meditation. When you sit in stillness, close your eyes, and focus on your breath, you are training your mind to be more present. You learn to observe your thoughts without getting attached to them. Meditation is like a workout for your mind. The more you practice, the more mindful you become in your everyday life. If you want to master your emotions, start by practicing mindfulness. Observe your thoughts and feelings without judgment. Recognize them as temporary experiences and let them pass. The more you practice, the more you'll find peace and emotional balance. Instead of being controlled by your emotions, you will learn to control them. When you combine mindfulness with the teachings of Buddhism, you unlock a deeper level of emotional mastery. You start to see your emotions not as obstacles, but as opportunities for growth. Each emotion is a message, a chance to understand yourself better. With mindfulness, you can respond to emotions with wisdom, compassion, and clarity. To conclude, mindfulness is the key to emotional freedom. It allows you to rise above your emotions, observe them without attachment, and respond with wisdom. The more you practice, the more emotionally intelligent and peaceful you become. Your emotions no longer control you. You control them. And in that control, you find true peace and happiness. In the next part, we will explore compassion over resentment, how practicing kindness can help us heal from the wounds caused by others. Stay with us, and let's continue on this path to inner peace. Compassion over resentment, the Buddhist approach. When someone hurts you, the natural human response is often to feel anger or resentment. We might want to hold on to those feelings as a way of protecting ourselves or seeking justice. But what if I told you that holding on to anger is like holding a sharp knife with the intention of hurting someone else, only to end up hurting yourself? Resentment creates a heavy burden in your heart. It eats away at your peace and clarity, preventing you from moving forward. In Buddhism, we are taught that resentment, like all negative emotions, is a form of attachment. We become attached to the hurt, to the anger, to the idea that someone owes us something. This attachment locks us into a cycle of suffering. But here's the beautiful truth. When we let go of resentment, we free ourselves. You might think, but they hurt me so much. How can I just let go? It's a valid question, one that many of us struggle with. The pain caused by others is real, and it's important to acknowledge that. Buddhism doesn't ask you to ignore your pain. Instead, it invites you to transform it, to use it as a source of wisdom. When you are hurt, you have two choices. You can hold on to the pain and let it fester, or you can choose compassion over resentment. Compassion is the opposite of resentment. While resentment binds you to the person who hurt you, compassion frees you. Compassion is not about excusing someone's hurtful behavior, nor is it about allowing them to continue causing harm. Compassion is about understanding the shared human experience. It's about seeing that everyone is suffering in some way. In Buddhism, this is known as the first noble truth. Suffering is a part of life. When you approach others with compassion, you begin to see that their actions may have been driven by their own pain, insecurities, or struggles. Perhaps they acted out of ignorance or fear. Most of the time, people don't hurt others because they want to. They do so because they are struggling within themselves. This is not to excuse their actions, but it allows you to see that their hurtful behavior is not about you. It's about them. Think about it this way. If someone is walking through life in complete darkness, stumbling over everything in their path, they may unknowingly hurt others. But the moment you understand that they are in darkness, your compassion grows. You stop taking their actions personally. You stop seeing them as the enemy. Instead, you see them as a fellow traveler on the difficult path of life. Compassion doesn't mean you allow yourself to be a victim. It means you understand that everyone has their battles. The person who hurt you may not be aware of their own suffering, but you, through the practice of compassion, can see beyond the surface. Instead of harboring resentment, you choose to send them understanding and kindness, even if they don't deserve it. This is where true power lies. Let's say a colleague at work insults you in front of others. Your first instinct may be to retaliate or sulk in anger. But what if you paused for a moment and asked yourself, what is going on in their life? What pain might they be carrying that is causing them to lash out like this? By shifting your focus from your own hurt to their suffering, you can break free from the cycle of negativity. Compassion allows you to see the bigger picture. You begin to realize that everyone, including yourself, is doing the best they can with the tools and understanding they have. This doesn't mean you accept poor behavior, but it does allow you to approach the situation with a sense of peace rather than aggression. When you choose compassion, you stop allowing the other person to control your emotions. They no longer have the power to determine how you feel. You are no longer a prisoner of your own anger and resentment. Instead, you are free. Buddhism teaches us to practice metta, which means loving kindness. It is the foundation of compassion. Metta is the ability to wish well for all beings, even those who have hurt you. It doesn't mean you have to be close to them or engage with them in any way. It means you cultivate a mindset of goodwill towards everyone, regardless of how they treat you. Imagine this. You are sitting in meditation, sending thoughts of loving kindness to all beings, to your family, your friends, your colleagues, and yes, even to the person who hurt you. You send them peace. You send them happiness. You wish for them to be free from suffering. This is the true meaning of compassion. It is not dependent on the other person's actions, but on your own ability to let go of resentment and open your heart to others. You might wonder, but does this mean I have to forgive them? In Buddhism, forgiveness is not about condoning the hurtful behavior. It's about freeing yourself from the grip of negativity. When you forgive, you let go of the emotional burden that weighs you down. You stop carrying the heavy load of anger and resentment, and in doing so, you open yourself to healing and peace. Forgiveness is a process, and it doesn't happen overnight. It requires time, self-awareness, and a willingness to see things differently. But with each step, you move closer to liberation. And the beauty of forgiveness is that it benefits you more than anyone else. It's not about the other person. It's about your own peace and well-being. Compassion also teaches us to embrace our vulnerability. We are all human, and part of the human experience is facing pain, hurt, and disappointment. When you allow yourself to feel your emotions without judgment, you open the door to healing. It's only when we suppress or deny our feelings that they take control of us. But when we acknowledge them, we can let them go. By embracing compassion, you develop a deeper sense of empathy and understanding for others. You begin to see the interconnectedness of all beings. You realize that, just like you, everyone is struggling with their own challenges. This doesn't mean you tolerate mistreatment, but it allows you to respond with wisdom instead of reaction. In moments of conflict, ask yourself, what would compassion do in this situation? What would love do? What would peace do? When you start making these questions your guide, you'll find that your responses change. You no longer react out of anger or fear. Instead, you respond with kindness, understanding, and strength. In the end, choosing compassion over resentment doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're strong enough to rise above negativity. It means you have the courage to break free from the cycle of pain and to walk the path of peace. It means you are choosing to live with an open heart, one that is free from the chains of anger, fear, and bitterness. This is the power of compassion. It transforms not only your relationships, but also your entire life. It allows you to move through the world with a sense of ease, knowing that no one can take away your peace unless you let them. And the best part is the more compassion you give, the more it grows within you. It becomes a part of who you are. In the next part, we will dive deeper into the illusion of ego and how rising above our sense of self can help us navigate the hurt caused by others. Stay tuned for more insights on how to free yourself from suffering. The illusion of ego, rising above personal hurt. We all have experienced moments when someone's words or actions hurt us deeply. It could be a friend's betrayal, a colleague's harsh criticism, or even a stranger's rude comment. These experiences stir emotions within us, and sometimes it feels impossible to let go of the pain. But have you ever wondered, why does this hurt feel so intense? Could it be that the real cause of our suffering isn't the action itself, but the way we react to it? Could it be the way we view ourselves in relation to the world? The answer lies in understanding the ego. The ego is the part of us that believes we are separate, special, and entitled to be treated in a certain way. When someone hurts us, the ego feels threatened. It feels as if its image is being shattered, its pride bruised, and its sense of worth questioned. The pain we feel isn't just from the external hurt, but from the blow to our ego. Think about it. When someone insults us, it's not just the words that sting, but our own attachment to how we think we should be treated. Buddhism teaches us that the ego is a false self, a construct of our mind. It is based on our desires, fears, and beliefs. This ego constantly seeks validation and approval, and when it doesn't get what it wants, it suffers. The more we identify with the ego, the stronger the grip it has on us. We believe we are this ego, this identity, this image we've created. And when it's challenged, we react with pain, anger, and hurt. But here's the truth. The ego is an illusion. It doesn't have a permanent existence. It's a collection of thoughts, memories, and desires that constantly change. Just like the weather changes, so does the ego. It's fleeting. And when we attach ourselves too strongly to it, we create suffering. We believe that this image of ourselves is who we truly are. And when someone hurts that image, it feels like we are being hurt at our core. So how do we rise above this personal hurt? How do we free ourselves from the grip of the ego? The first step is to understand that you are not your ego. Your true self is not the image that you have created in your mind. It is the awareness behind the image, the awareness that can observe thoughts, emotions, and reactions without becoming entangled in them. When someone insults you, it's not about you as a person. It's about the image they have of you in their mind. When they act out of anger or ignorance, it's not an attack on your true self, but an expression of their own inner turmoil. Realizing this can help you detach from the pain. The next time someone hurts you, ask yourself, is this attack on my true self or on the false image I've created? You see, when we stop identifying with the ego, we stop taking things personally. The ego thrives on taking things personally. It wants to defend itself, fight back, and prove its worth. But when we rise above it, we begin to understand that others' actions are a reflection of their minds, not ours. Just as we are not responsible for other people's happiness, they are not responsible for ours either. This doesn't mean we become indifferent or cold. It simply means we begin to respond from a place of wisdom, not from the ego's fear and defensiveness. We learn to respond with compassion rather than react with anger or hurt. We understand that everyone is fighting their own battles, and sometimes, the only way they know how to cope is by projecting their pain onto others. This realization doesn't excuse bad behavior. It doesn't mean we let others walk all over us. In fact, rising above the ego empowers us to set healthy boundaries. We no longer feel the need to prove ourselves or defend our image. We can choose to respond with kindness, and when necessary, walk away without bitterness. We let go of the need for validation and find peace in knowing that we are enough as we are. When we understand the illusory nature of the ego, we realize that true peace doesn't come from external circumstances. It doesn't come from being praised or acknowledged. It doesn't come from others treating us in the way we expect. True peace comes from within, from accepting who we are beyond the ego. It comes from knowing that our worth isn't determined by the opinions of others or by how we are treated. It is inherent in who we are as human beings. At the core of Buddhism is the understanding of impermanence. Everything in life is constantly changing, including our feelings of hurt and anger. If we hold on to these feelings, we are only prolonging our suffering. But if we let go and understand that the pain will pass, just like a storm, we free ourselves from its grip. Imagine this. You are standing in the middle of a storm, feeling the winds and rain lash against you. It feels intense, overwhelming, and painful, but you know that the storm will pass. You wait, with patience, knowing that peace will return. This is how we can learn to deal with hurt. We stop fighting the storm, and instead, we wait for it to pass. Buddhism teaches us that peace is found in the present moment. When we hold on to past hurts, we carry them with us into every new experience. But the past is gone. It no longer exists, and the future is uncertain. The only moment we truly have is now. When we are able to live in the present, free from the weight of past hurts and the fear of future pain, we experience freedom. We rise above the ego's need for control and validation. This practice of detachment doesn't mean we become detached from the world or from others. It means we stop clinging to our sense of self-importance. We stop identifying with the roles we play, the labels we wear, and the image we project. We become free to be who we truly are, beings of love, compassion, and wisdom. When you are no longer attached to your ego, you become like the lotus flower. The lotus grows in muddy waters, but it remains untouched by the mud. It rises above the dirt and blooms in beauty. This is what happens when we rise above the ego. We are no longer affected by the negativity and hurt around us. We stay rooted in our true nature and rise above it all. As you walk this path, remember that every moment is an opportunity to let go. Let go of the need to prove yourself, the need to defend your image, and the need to seek validation. When you let go, you will find peace. You will rise above personal hurt and begin to experience the world as it truly is, a place where you can find beauty in every moment, regardless of the circumstances. The next time you are hurt, remember, it's not about you. It's about the person projecting their own pain. And you are not the false image that your ego has created. You are not the pain, the hurt, or the anger. You are the one who can rise above it all, with wisdom and compassion. You are the lotus, rising above the mud. Keep walking this path of self-awareness, and soon, you will realize that the greatest freedom is the freedom from the ego's control. When you are free from the need to protect your image, you are truly free. You are no longer at the mercy of others' actions. You are at peace, simply being who you are. The power of metta, practicing loving kindness. When we are hurt, we often feel like we need to protect ourselves from the world. We build walls around our hearts, hoping to prevent further pain. But what if the key to healing lies not in guarding ourselves, but in opening our hearts to others with love and kindness? This is where the Buddhist practice of metta, or loving kindness, comes in. At first, it may sound difficult. How can we be kind to those who have hurt us? How can we wish good things for people who have caused us pain? These questions are natural, but they come from a place of misunderstanding. You see, metta isn't about excusing bad behavior or letting people take advantage of you. It's about freeing yourself from the chains of anger, bitterness, and resentment that keep you trapped in suffering. The Buddha taught that our hearts are like a garden. If we plant seeds of hatred, anger, or fear, those emotions grow and take over. But if we plant seeds of love, kindness, and compassion, our hearts bloom with peace and joy. Every time we choose to respond to hurt with love, we are nurturing those seeds. This practice isn't easy, but it is the path to true freedom. When you practice metta, you begin by wishing happiness and well-being for yourself. This may sound strange at first. How can you wish happiness for yourself when you are in pain? But remember, you cannot give love to others if you cannot give it to yourself first. You must learn to accept yourself, flaws and all, with love. This is the foundation of all kindness. Once you have wished yourself happiness, you expand your loving kindness to others. Start with those closest to you, your family, your friends, those who bring you joy. Send them good wishes, wishing for their happiness, their peace, their health. It might feel easy at first, but soon you'll find that extending kindness to others becomes more and more natural. The next step is to extend your loving kindness to neutral people, those you don't know well, or those you don't feel strongly about. Picture them in your mind and send them good wishes, just as you did for your loved ones. This step can be surprisingly powerful. By wishing kindness, even to people you have no strong emotional connection with, you train your heart to expand beyond your small circle. Now comes the most difficult part, extending metta to those who have hurt you. This is the true test of your practice. But remember, loving kindness is not about condoning their actions. It's about releasing yourself from the grip of resentment. When you hold on to anger, you allow the other person to control your emotions, your peace. But when you send them loving kindness, you take back your power. This doesn't mean that you should put yourself in harm's way or allow others to treat you poorly. Loving kindness is not about weakness. It is about strength. It is about understanding that the person who hurt you is also suffering in their own way. They may not even realize the pain they have caused you. By practicing metta, you let go of the desire for revenge and free yourself from the emotional weight they have placed on your heart. As you continue to practice, you begin to see the truth of life. Everyone is suffering in some way. We are all doing the best we can with the tools we have. When you look at someone who has hurt you through this lens, it becomes easier to send them kindness, to wish them peace. You are not excusing their actions, but you are choosing to rise above them. The more you practice metta, the more it transforms your heart. It softens your pain and helps you see beyond the negative emotions that have been holding you back. It teaches you that love is more powerful than anger, and that kindness is the true source of inner peace. This practice is not a one-time thing. It is something you must practice every day, just as you would care for a plant in your garden. You must water it, nourish it, and give it sunlight. With time, your heart will become a place of love and peace, and the hurts of the world will no longer have the power to break you. But remember, metta is not just for others. It is also for yourself. In the moments when you feel overwhelmed by pain or sadness, take a deep breath and send yourself loving kindness. Imagine yourself surrounded by warmth and compassion, just as you would wish for a dear friend. When you learn to treat yourself with love, you create a strong foundation for loving others. It's important to understand that metta does not require you to ignore your emotions. It's not about pretending that you are not hurt, or that everything is okay when it's not. Rather, it's about acknowledging your pain and then choosing to respond with compassion. It's about giving yourself the space to feel, and then offering yourself the same kindness that you would offer to others. In times of hardship, it may feel like your heart is heavy, burdened by pain or disappointment. But even in these moments, you can practice metta. You can offer yourself kindness even when you feel undeserving. And as you do, you will find that your heart lightens and your suffering begins to ease. By practicing loving kindness, you begin to shift the energy around you. You become a source of light in a world that often feels dark. You stop reacting to hurt and begin responding with love. This doesn't mean that you will never feel pain again, but it means that you no longer let pain control you. You become the master of your emotions, and through this mastery, you find peace. In the next part, we will explore how to use metta to transform not only your relationships with others, but also your relationship with yourself. This practice of loving kindness can change everything. Stay with us as we continue on the path to healing and peace. Walking the noble path. Practical steps to heal. Healing doesn't happen overnight. It's a process, like the growth of a seed into a tree. It takes time, patience, and effort. But the good news is you are already on the path. Every step you take brings you closer to inner peace, understanding, and freedom from pain. And today, we will talk about the noble path. The steps you can take to heal and live a life free from suffering. The Buddha spoke of a path to end suffering and find true happiness. It is not just a spiritual path but a practical one, a way of living that can transform your entire life. This path is called the Noble Eightfold Path, and it is filled with simple yet powerful teachings that guide you to heal from any hurt. The first step on this path is right understanding. This means seeing things as they truly are, without the distortion of emotions or judgment. When someone hurts you, the natural reaction is to feel hurt, angry, or even resentful. But by developing right understanding, you begin to see that pain, although unpleasant, is part of life. It doesn't define you. It doesn't make you weak or broken. It is just an experience, temporary and passing. Right understanding helps you to let go of the idea that you must hold on to pain. It teaches you that every person, including yourself, is part of the larger world. Every action, every word spoken, comes from the past, from that person's history, their suffering, and their understanding of the world. When someone hurts you, it is not about you. It is about them. They are acting from their own pain, their own misunderstandings. Understanding this gives you the ability to let go of the emotional attachment to their actions. The second step is right intention. Intention is the foundation of every action. What motivates you? If you want to heal, you must have the right intention. The intention to let go of resentment, anger, and the desire for revenge. This may sound hard, especially when the wound is fresh, but remember that your intention shapes your reality. When you set your intention to heal and grow, you will start seeing the opportunities for healing in every moment. Right intention also means developing compassion, not only for others but also for yourself. You may have been hurt, but you are still worthy of kindness and love. Let go of the self-blame. You are not the cause of the other person's actions. You are not responsible for their behavior. You are only responsible for how you respond. Healing begins when you choose to respond with kindness, patience, and self-love. The third step is right speech. What you say to others and what you say to yourself matters. When someone hurts you, your natural response might be to speak in anger, to defend yourself, or to lash out. But right speech teaches you to speak with wisdom. This doesn't mean remaining silent or letting people walk all over you. It means speaking with mindfulness, with care. When you speak to someone who has hurt you, do so with a calm heart and clear mind. Speak from a place of compassion, not anger. Speak with the intention to heal, not to hurt. If you need to set boundaries, do so firmly but kindly. Right speech helps you to express your truth without creating more conflict. It helps you to stand up for yourself in a way that maintains your dignity and peace. The fourth step is right action. Our actions are the result of our intentions and understanding. When we choose to act out of anger or hurt, we create more suffering for ourselves and others. Right action teaches us to act in ways that are aligned with our values, to act with kindness, respect, and integrity. When you are hurt, you may want to react impulsively. You may want to seek revenge or to cause pain to the one who hurt you. But right action teaches you to pause, reflect, and choose a path that will lead to peace. Even when you must defend yourself, do so in a way that does not harm. Right action is not about weakness or avoidance. It is about acting with awareness and mindfulness. The fifth step is right livelihood. This refers to the way we earn our living. It may seem unrelated to healing, but think about it. If your livelihood is causing you stress, unhappiness, or harm to others, it will affect your peace of mind. Healing requires you to find ways to make a living that align with your values and don't add to your suffering. Right livelihood also means surrounding yourself with people who support your healing. Let go of toxic relationships that pull you back into pain and suffering. Choose people who uplift you, who encourage your growth, and who bring peace into your life. The sixth step is right effort. Healing takes effort, but the effort must be wise. It is not about forcing yourself to feel better or pretending that you're okay when you're not. Right effort is about cultivating the right qualities in your mind and heart. It's about making the effort to develop compassion, patience, and wisdom. This effort can start small. When someone hurts you, take a moment to breathe, to pause before reacting. That simple act of awareness is the right effort. It is about being mindful in every situation, noticing when you are tempted to fall into old habits of anger and resentment. When you put in this effort, healing will naturally follow. The seventh step is right mindfulness. Mindfulness is the practice of being fully present in the moment, aware of your thoughts, emotions, and actions without judgment. When you are mindful, you can see your pain without becoming overwhelmed by it. You can recognize that hurtful thoughts are just thoughts. They do not define you. Mindfulness also helps you see when you are holding on to pain unnecessarily. When you are mindful, you begin to notice when your thoughts are drifting toward resentment or anger. Instead of getting lost in those emotions, you can choose to bring your focus back to the present moment. Healing begins when you stop living in the past and let go of future fears. The eighth step is right concentration. This step refers to developing the ability to focus your mind, to direct your energy toward healing. When you focus your mind on positive thoughts, on love, compassion, and peace, you can begin to heal. Concentration helps you to retrain your mind so that it no longer reacts to pain with anger or fear. By practicing right concentration, you develop the ability to stay calm and balanced even in the face of hurt. Your mind becomes a tool for healing, not for suffering. With time and practice, concentration helps you to stay grounded in your wisdom, no matter what life throws your way. Healing doesn't happen quickly, and it doesn't happen easily. But the noble path shows us that healing is possible. Every small step you take on this path brings you closer to a life of freedom, peace, and happiness. Remember, you are not alone on this journey. The Buddhist teachings are here to guide you, to support you, and to help you transform your pain into wisdom. By following the noble path, you will discover the true power within you, the power to heal, to forgive, and to live a life filled with peace and love. In the next part, we will explore the final steps to help you walk this path with confidence and strength. But for now, take a moment to breathe, to reflect on your journey so far. Healing is already happening. You just need to keep walking. Conclusion: finding true liberation. So, here we are at the final part of this journey. By now, you've learned how to rise above the pain caused by others and how to protect your peace. You've learned to let go of anger, resentment, and revenge. But there's still one important thing left to discover: true liberation. What does it mean to be truly free? Is it simply to stop holding on to hurt? Or is there something deeper, something more profound waiting for you? True freedom doesn't come from avoiding pain. It doesn't come from running away from the challenges life throws at you. No, true freedom comes when you learn to face everything, the pain, the anger, the sorrow, and let it pass through you without it taking hold of you. It comes when you stop identifying yourself with your emotions, your thoughts, and the things that happen around you. The Buddha taught us a simple truth. You are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You are not your pain. You are simply the one who experiences them, and that is where your freedom lies. When you realize that, when you truly understand that, you stop being a prisoner of your own mind. Let's pause for a moment. Take a deep breath. Close your eyes for just a second. Feel that space between your thoughts. That's the real you, the one who is not troubled by the noise of the world. It's easy to get lost in the chaos, to think that everything that happens around you defines who you are. But the Buddha teaches us to look inward, to find peace, not in what happens to us, but in how we respond to it. You may be thinking, but Zen Master, what about all the pain I've been through? What about the people who hurt me? How can I just let go of it all? And I say to you, yes, the pain is real. It's not easy to forget the wrongs that have been done to us. But you don't have to forget. You don't have to erase your memories. What you do need to do, however, is change your relationship with those memories. Instead of letting them control you, let them teach you. Each moment of hurt, each moment of suffering is an opportunity for growth. Every time someone hurts you, it's a chance for you to practice patience, understanding, and compassion. It's a chance for you to remember that your peace comes from within, not from the outside world. So, how can you find true liberation? The first step is to stop holding on to the need for others to change. You can't control how people behave. You can't make them see things your way, and you can't make them stop hurting you. But you can control how you respond. And the moment you choose peace over anger, the moment you choose forgiveness over revenge, that's when you set yourself free. But it doesn't stop there. The next step is to stop identifying yourself as the victim. This is so important. Yes, you've been hurt. Yes, you've experienced suffering. But that does not define you. You are not your wounds. You are not the sum of your experiences. You are the awareness that witnesses it all. When you let go of the idea that you are a victim, you free yourself from the endless cycle of pain and suffering. The Buddha once said, "No one saves us but ourselves. No one can and no one may. We ourselves must walk the path." This is a powerful reminder that your liberation is in your hands. You don't need anyone's approval. You don't need to wait for the world to change. You simply need to change your mindset. But remember, this doesn't mean you'll never feel hurt again. It doesn't mean you'll never feel anger, sadness, or disappointment. What it means is that when these emotions arise, you will no longer be controlled by them. You'll see them for what they are, temporary visitors that have no power over you unless you give it to them. And when you feel those emotions, you don't have to act on them. You don't have to lash out, retaliate, or seek revenge. You can simply acknowledge the emotion, feel it, and let it go. The more you practice this, the more peaceful your life will become. You will no longer be tossed around by the winds of life. You will be like a calm ocean, untouched by the storms that rage on its surface. But there's another important lesson the Buddha taught: compassion. It's easy to be kind and understanding when people are kind to us. But what about when they hurt us? That's when the true test of compassion arises. The Buddha says, hatred does not cease by hatred, but only by love. This is the heart of Buddhist wisdom. When someone hurts you, you don't have to retaliate. Instead, you can choose to respond with compassion. This doesn't mean allowing others to hurt you again or putting yourself in harmful situations. It means understanding that their actions are a reflection of their own pain. They are suffering too, in their own way. True liberation also comes from self-compassion. You must learn to treat yourself with kindness and understanding. Don't beat yourself up for feeling hurt. Don't judge yourself for your anger or your sadness. These are just emotions, and they don't define who you are. What defines you is your ability to rise above them, to learn from them, and to move forward with love and wisdom. When you let go of the need for revenge, when you stop identifying yourself with your pain, and when you start responding to others with compassion, you will find peace. This peace is not the absence of conflict, but the ability to stay calm and centered in the midst of it. It's the ability to smile at life, no matter what it brings. It's the freedom to live in the present moment, without being weighed down by the past or anxious about the future. As we come to the end of this journey, I want to remind you of one final truth. You are the master of your own mind. No one can hurt you unless you allow it. No one can steal your peace unless you give them permission. When you take responsibility for your own happiness, you become the creator of your life. So, I ask you now, as we close this chapter, what kind of life do you want to live? Will you allow others to define your happiness, or will you take control and find peace within yourself? The choice is yours. You have the power to liberate yourself from suffering and to live a life of true freedom. Thank you for joining me on this journey. I hope these teachings have brought you closer to the peace you seek. Remember, The path to liberation is always available to you. One breath, one step, one moment at a time. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel, Wisdom Woven. We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Stay blessed and continue your journey towards inner peace.